Welcome to rrptechnologies.com. Our website has a number of tools for long-term investors, and I'd like to demonstrate one of them in this video. This particular tool is a portfolio optimization tool. What you can do with this is you provide a list of securities or ticker symbols. And when you run the tool, the optimizer gives you an optimal allocation of assets to those ticker symbols. This is based on the Markowitz Modern Portfolio Theory. And to run it, you can just click here on Try It Yourself. On this first page, you select the ticker symbols that you'd like to have in your portfolio. I'm going to choose SPY or Spiders, which is an ETF for the S&P 500. I'm also going to pick QQQ, which is an ETF for the NASDAQ 100. And I'm going to pick TLT, which is a long-term Treasury bond ETF. The next thing that's needed here is to select an investment period. This is the amount of time that you'd like to hold the portfolio. And you can see that there are a number of choices here, from 6 months to 5 years. You can choose actually as many of these as you wish. Each one will give a different solution or a different allocation of assets to the three ticker symbols that I've selected. I think what I'll do here is just select the default, which is 1 year. And next I click on this button to set the return target. The return target is the return that you'd like to receive from this portfolio during the investment period that you've selected. In this case, it's 1 year. And the target return needs to be between the lower target limit and the upper target limit. So that means the target return needs to be between, in this case, about 4% at the low end and about 17% at the high end. All right, then to run the optimizer, I just click on this button, Optimize, and the system is now thinking and doing the optimization, and it's now ready. This is the final report. And what you see at the top here is a list of the ticker symbols that are in the portfolio. The first graph covers a time period from 2002 to 2026, and it gives prices for the three tickers in the portfolio. Now, these prices have been scaled in such a way that each one of the ticker symbols begins at a price of 100. And because they're all scaled in this way, it gives you a way to make a fair comparison between the ticker symbols in terms of performance. So QQQ, for example, is the blue curve. Evidently, QQQ performs substantially better than the orange curve, which is Spiders, and Spiders in turn perform substantially better than TLT. Moving on to the next graph, this is a returns graph. So each point here provides the ratio of the price at a given day compared to the price exactly 1 year earlier. So that's how the values here are calculated. And you see it goes from 2003 to 2026. That's the range of data that we have for this graph. And there's an interesting observation to be made here. You can go back to the financial crisis of 2008, and you see that spiders and QQQ both collapsed. They both lost 40%. And TLT behaved very differently. TLT actually made 40%. You can see the y-axis here. So at that time, when spiders and QQQ were at their low, TLT was at its high. And that difference in behavior, or inverse correlation, is what gives the optimizer an opportunity to create a portfolio that has low variability in the price, or as low as possible. Next, I'd like to show a graph that we call an IRRP graph. You can see there are curves for each of the different securities, as well as a curve for the portfolio. These curves are actually cumulative distribution curves corresponding to the returns that we just saw in the previous graph. And there's some helpful information that can be read off of this graph. You see the target return that I selected was 10%. And this graph allows me to find the probability that the portfolio will achieve a 10% return. So if you look here at the 10% number on the x-axis, and you follow this green dotted line higher to the point where the red curve crosses the green dotted line, and that is the probability, based on the data that we have, the probability that a 10% return will be achieved over 1 year. Similarly, you can find out what the probability is that you will at least make money, or at least not lose money. You can find that by locating 0 on the x-axis, follow the green line higher to where it intersects the red curve, and it looks like that's about 0.875 or so. So that means there's an 87% probability that you will at least make money, or at least break even. And last, there's a table that we call the summary table. And there's a good deal of information here that I'd like to talk about more in a future video. But I'd like to point out a few things. These first 5 columns provide data for the so-called quartiles. This 50% column gives information for the so-called second quartile, or the median values of the returns. So here, over all the returns that we have available to us, the median return for TLT is 4%, or a little more than 4%. The returns for QQQ are substantially higher, 18%, and the median return for spiders is 14%. And we also have the median return for the portfolio, assuming that the allocations for these 3 ticker symbols are consistent with what the optimizer suggests. Then the median return for the portfolio should be about 11%. So, last but not least, the last column here shows what the portfolio is, in the sense that the allocations to the three ticker symbols, TLT, spiders, and QQQ, are shown here. 0.426 indicates that about 42 or 43% of assets should be put into TLT. 34% of assets should be put into spiders, and 23% of assets should be put into QQQ. So you can see it's easy to use and it's free, and we'd like you to come back to our website and give it a try.